What do you do when your wife leaves you for your boss and you find out about her lies from a stranger? In this story, a man named Derek doesn't just experience betrayal. He uncovers a network of deception and prepares a plan that will turn the lives of everyone involved upside down. Can he find justice and new love when the whole world is against him? Derek Wilson stood on the porch of his modest Seattle home, the cool September breeze brushing against his face. At 38, he was a ruggedly handsome engineer with dark hair just starting to gray at the temples, a testament to years of hard work and quiet resilience. Beside him stood his 16-year-old daughter, Sophie, her arms crossed and her sharp hazel eyes fixed on the scene unfolding before them. His wife, Emily, a 35-year-old marketing expert with fiery red hair and a confident smile, was tossing a sleek suitcase into the trunk of a black SUV. Behind the wheel sat Nathan Crow, her polished and charismatic boss, tapping his fingers impatiently on the steering wheel. "It's just a work trip to Chicago," Emily had said earlier that morning, her voice smooth as she adjusted her scarf. "A big campaign pitch. We'll be back by Thursday." Derek nodded then, wanting to believe her. But now, watching her laugh at something Nathan said, a knot tightened in his gut. There was something too casual, too eager in her movements. Sophie shifted beside him, her jaw tight. "She's lying, isn't she?" she muttered, barely audible over the hum of the engine. Derek didn't answer. He didn't have to. The doubt had been creeping in for weeks, fueled by late-night phone calls Emily dismissed as client emergencies, and her sudden obsession with looking her best for meetings. As the SUV pulled away, tires crunching against the gravel, Derek's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, frowning at the unknown number. "Hello," he said, his voice low. A woman's voice came through, crisp but trembling with restrained anger. "Is this Derek Wilson? My name's Kate. Kate Crow, Nathan's wife. We need to talk about your wife and my husband." Derek's heart sank, but he kept his tone steady. "Go on." Kate didn't waste time. "They're not going to Chicago for work. They're headed to a hotel. I've got proof, texts, emails, even a room booking under his name. This isn't the first time he's done this, and I'm guessing it's not her first time either." Derek gripped the phone tighter, his mind racing. He glanced at Sophie, who was still staring down the empty street, her fists clenched. "Why tell me this?" he asked Kate. Her laugh was bitter. "Because I'm tired of being the fool, and I figured you deserved to know the truth too." She promised to send him the evidence and hung up, leaving Derek standing there, the weight of her words settling like lead in his chest. Sophie turned to him, her voice sharp. "Who was that, Dad?" He hesitated, then decided she deserved honesty. "That was Nathan's wife. She says your mom and Nathan aren't on a work trip. They're together." Sophie's eyes widened, then narrowed. "Together? Like together?" Derek nodded, and for a moment, silence hung between them. Then Sophie straightened, her teenage defiance kicking in. "We're not just going to let this slide, right? If Mom thinks she can lie to us, she's got another thing coming." Derek almost smiled, despite himself. Sophie had his stubborn streak, his refusal to back down. "Let's see what Kate sends us first," he said, guiding her back inside. "Then we figure out what to do." An hour later, Derek's inbox pinged. Kate had delivered screenshots of flirty texts between Emily and Nathan, a hotel confirmation for a single room at the Ritz in Chicago, and a photo of them laughing together at a bar last month. Each image was a punch to the gut, but the last one, a selfie of Emily kissing Nathan's cheek, lit a fire in Derek's chest. He showed Sophie, whose face hardened as she scrolled. "She's been planning this," Sophie said, her voice low. "Look at the dates. This isn't some spur-of-the-moment thing. She's been lying to us for months." Derek leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. He'd spent 17 years building a life with Emily, working overtime to support her career, cheering her on as she climbed the ranks at her firm. And now this. "What do we do, Dad?" Sophie asked, her voice softer now, almost pleading. He looked at her, seeing the hurt beneath her anger, and made a decision. "We don't confront her yet. We get the full picture. Kate's not the only one who's fed up. We're going to find out just how deep this goes." That night, Derek called Kate back. "I've seen the proof," he said. "What's your next move?" Kate's voice was steadier now, resolute. "I'm done playing the clueless wife. I've hired a private investigator to catch them in Chicago. If you're in, we can make sure they don't get away with this." Derek didn't hesitate. "I'm in, but this stays clean, legal. No dirty tricks." Kate agreed. and they set the wheels in motion. As he hung up, Sophie plopped onto the couch beside him, a spark in her eye. "I've got an idea too," she said. "Let's stir the pot a little. Make them sweat before they even know we're on to them." Derek raised an eyebrow. "What's your plan, kid?" Sophie grinned, pulling out her phone. "An anonymous post online. Nothing obvious, just enough to get people talking. If Mom and Nathan think the world's watching, they'll slip up." Derek couldn't help but admire her guts. "All right," he said, "but we keep it vague. No names yet." Sophie nodded, already typing. As the night deepened, Derek felt a strange mix of dread and determination. Emily thought she'd outsmarted him, but she'd underestimated the two people she'd left behind. This was just the beginning, and he was ready to fight for the truth. The next morning, Derek Wilson sat at the kitchen table of his Seattle home, nursing a black coffee as the gray dawn filtered through the blinds. The evidence Kate had sent still burned his mind. Texts, photos, that damning hotel booking. His 16-year-old daughter, Sophie, shuffled in, her phone already in hand, eyes bright with the kind of determination that reminded Derek of himself at her age. "Did you sleep?" she asked, grabbing a cereal box. "Barely," he admitted, rubbing his stubbled jaw. "You?" She smirked. "Enough to keep going. Check this out." She slid her phone across the table, showing a cryptic post she'd made late last night on a local Seattle forum. "Big marketing pitch in Chicago this week." Or is it just a cover for something else? Keep your eyes peeled. It already had 50 likes and a dozen comments speculating about corporate drama. Derek raised an eyebrow. "Subtle enough." "Smart." Sophie grinned, pouring herself a bowl of cereal. "If Mom sees it, she'll freak. She hates being watched." Derek nodded, impressed by her instinct. He'd spent the night piecing together the timeline from Kate's files. Emily's affair with Nathan hadn't started last week. It stretched back at least a year. Late work dinners, weekend conferences, all those excuses he'd swallowed because he trusted her. Now, they glared at him like neon signs. But one question gnawed at him. Was Nathan the only one? His phone buzzed. "Kate again." "Morning," she said when he picked up. Her voice was steadier today, laced with purpose. "The PI's already in Chicago. He's tailing them now. Got a minute to meet." Derek glanced at Sophie, who was listening intently, spoon halfway to her mouth. "Yeah, I'll bring my daughter. She's part of this now." Kate paused, then said, "Good. She deserves to know. Meet me at Brood Awakening in an hour." Derek hung up and met Sophie's gaze. "You sure you're ready for this?" he asked. She set her spoon down, her expression fierce. "Dad, she lied to us both. I'm not sitting this out." An hour later, they slid into a booth at the cozy coffee shop, the aroma of espresso cutting through the tension. Kate Crow sat across from them, a slender 32-year-old with blonde hair pulled into a tight ponytail and tired blue eyes that sparkled with resolve. She slid a manila folder across the table. "This is everything I've got," she said. "Nathan's been pulling this for years. Different women, same playbook. Your wife's just the latest." Derek opened the folder, revealing more photos, emails, even a list of names. 5 other women, all former colleagues of Nathan's. Sophie leaned in, scanning the pages. "Wait," she said, pointing at a name. "Jessica Langston. She worked with Mom 2 years ago. They were friends." Derek's stomach twisted. "You're sure?" Sophie nodded. "Mom used to talk about her all the time, then just stopped. Said she moved away." Kate's lips pressed into a thin line. "She didn't move. Nathan got her fired after their fling ended. It's his pattern. Charm them, use them, dump them." Derek flipped through the emails, finding one from Emily to Nathan dated 6 months back. "Can't wait for our next meeting. Don't tell D." He'd never get it. The casual betrayal stung worse than he'd expected. Sophie's voice cut through his haze. "She planned this for months. Look at this. Chicago's our chance to make it official." "She was gonna leave us, Dad." Kate leaned forward, her tone firm. "That's why we're doing this. The PI says they're at the Ritz now, acting like a couple. He's getting photos, maybe video. If we catch them, it's over for both of them." Derek clenched his fists under the table, then relaxed them. "What's the goal here, Kate?" "Divorce." She nodded. "For me, yes. I've got 2 girls, 8 and 10. They don't need a father like him." "You." Derek glanced at Sophie, who gave a small nod. "Same. I want custody of Soph and half of what's ours. But I need proof she's been lying more than this." Kate pulled out her phone, showing a live update from the PI. A blurry shot of Emily and Nathan sipping wine at the hotel bar, her hand on his arm. Sophie snorted. Classy. She didn't even wait a day. Derek stared at the image, the knot in his chest tightening. There's more, isn't there? He asked Kate. She hesitated, then sighed. Maybe. I found an old burner phone Nathan stashed. One of the numbers he texted matches a guy Emily knows, Mark Tanner. Family friend, right? Derek froze. Mark, the guy who'd been at their barbecues, who'd taught Sophie to ride a bike. You're kidding, he said, voice low. Sophie's eyes widened. Uncle Mark? No way. I don't have solid proof yet, Kate admitted. Just a hunch. But if it's true, this goes deeper than Nathan. Derek's mind spun. Mark had drifted out of their lives a year ago. No explanation, just gone. Had Emily pushed him away to hide something? Sophie grabbed the folder, flipping back to the emails. If she's been playing us this long, we need to know everything. What's the PI's next step? Kate smiled faintly at her fire. He's waiting for them to check into the room. Once they're caught, we've got them. Derek leaned back, the pieces clicking into place. Emily hadn't just betrayed him. She'd built a whole web of lies, and he'd been too blind to see it. All right, he said, his voice steady despite the storm inside. We let the PI do his job. Sophie, keep that post circulating. Add a little more heat, but nothing direct. She nodded, already typing. Kate tucked the folder away. We're a team now. They think they're untouchable, but they're wrong. As they left the shop, Sophie slipped her arm through Derek's. We're going to make her regret this, Dad. Not with fists, with the truth. He squeezed her shoulder, a flicker of pride cutting through the pain. Emily had underestimated them both, and that was her first mistake. The truth was coming, and it wouldn't be kind. Derek Wilson paced the living room of his Seattle home, the late afternoon light casting long shadows across the hardwood floor. The past 2 days had been a whirlwind. Kate's evidence, Sophie's viral post, and now the growing suspicion about Mark Tanner, a ghost from their past. At 38, Derek had always prided himself on staying calm under pressure, but this was different. His 16-year-old daughter, Sophie, sat cross-legged on the couch, her phone glowing as she scrolled through the forum thread she'd started. It's up to 200 likes now, she said, her voice tinged with triumph. People are guessing it's some big corporate scandal. Mom's gonna hate this. Derek managed a tight smile. Good work, sophomore. Just keep it vague. We're not naming names yet. His phone buzzed on the coffee table, and he snatched it up. It was Kate. Derek, the PI's got something, she said, her tone urgent but controlled. They're still at the Ritz. He's sending photos now. Should be in your inbox any second. Derek put her on speaker so Sophie could hear, then opened his email. The first image loaded. Emily and Nathan stepping out of the hotel elevator, her arm looped through his, both laughing like they didn't have a care in the world. The second showed them at the front desk, Nathan handing over a credit card while Emily leaned against him. Sophie's jaw tightened. She's not even trying to hide it, she muttered. Kate's voice crackled through. The PI's waiting for them to head to the room. If we get them into a single frame, that's checkmate. They've got one booking under Nathan's name. No work trip excuse holds up now. Derek nodded, though his mind was already racing ahead. What about Mark? He asked. Anything on that burner phone? Kate sighed. Not yet. The PI's digging into old records. Mark's number popped up a few times last year, but nothing concrete. I'll let you know if we find more. Derek thanked her and hung up, turning to Sophie. This is enough for the divorce, he said. But if Mark's involved, I want the whole truth. Sophie stood, pacing now herself. We've got them cornered, Dad. That post got people talking. Someone at Mom's firm might slip up and spill something. What's our next move? Derek rubbed his chin, thinking. We let the PI finish the job in Chicago. Kate's handling the legal side. Divorce papers for both of us. But we need to shake things up here, too. If Mark's part of this, someone knows something. Sophie's eyes lit up. What if I ask around? Mom's old co-workers, maybe Jessica Langston. She might talk if she's still mad at Nathan. Derek hesitated. Sophie was sharp, but this was risky. Only if it's safe, he said. No direct confrontation. Just casual questions. Sophie grinned. I've got this. I'll say I'm doing a school project on marketing careers. Nobody'll suspect a thing. Derek couldn't argue with her enthusiasm. All right, I'll meet Kate tomorrow to plan the handover. When Emily and Nathan get back, we'll have everything ready. Sophie nodded, already texting a friend who might know Jessica's new job. Derek watched her, marveling at how she'd stepped up. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was their fight. The next day, Derek met Kate at a quiet park near Lake Union, the Seattle skyline shimmering in the distance. She arrived with a thick folder and a determined look. "The PI's got video now," she said, handing him a USB drive. They went to the room last night, caught on camera entering together, lights off, no one left till morning. "It's airtight." Derek pocketed the drive, his stomach churning. "Enough for custody?" he asked. Kate nodded. "And more. My lawyer says it's grounds for fault-based divorce. Adultery's still a factor here. Nathan's done this before, so his pattern's admissible too. You..." Derek exhaled. "Same. Sophie's staying with me. No question. Emily can keep the house. I'll take half the savings and move on." Kate's eyes softened. "You're handling this better than I expected." Derek shrugged. "Sophie's keeping me grounded. She's digging in a Mark. Thinks he might have been with Emily before Nathan." Kate's brow furrowed. "If that's true, it's a bigger mess than we thought. I'll push the PI to cross-check Mark's old calls with Emily's travel dates. If they line up, we've got a timeline." Derek agreed, then shifted gears. "When do they get back?" Kate checked her phone. "Tomorrow afternoon. Flight lands at SeaTac around 3 p.m. My lawyer's drafting a summons for Nathan. Yours should do the same for Emily. We serve them right off the plane." Derek nodded, the plan solidifying. Sophie's post is already stirring the pot. Rumors are hitting her firm. If we time this right, they'll walk into a storm. Kate smirked. "Perfect. Let's make sure they know we're not bluffing." They parted ways, and Derek drove home, the USB drive heavy in his pocket. When he walked in, Sophie was on the phone, scribbling notes. She hung up as he entered, her face alight. "Got something?" she said. "Jessica is at a new agency downtown. My friend set up a chat tomorrow. She's still bitter about Nathan and Mom. So they were thick as thieves before she got canned." Derek's pulse quickened. "She tied them together?" Sophie shook her head. "Not yet, but she hinted Mom knew about Nathan's games and didn't care. I'll get more tomorrow." Derek sat, processing. "Good. Kate's got video, Emily and Nathan in the room all night. We're serving them papers when they land." Sophie's grin widened. "They're toast, Dad. And if Jessica spills, we'll bury them." Derek leaned back, the weight lifting slightly. Emily thought she'd played them, but the truth was closing in fast. Derek Wilson stood in the bustling SeaTac airport terminal, the hum of travelers and rolling suitcases filling the air. It was Wednesday afternoon, just past 3 p.m., and the flight from Chicago carrying Emily and Nathan was due to land any minute. At 38, Derek felt the weight of the past week pressing on his shoulders, but his resolve held firm. Beside him stood Kate Crow, her blonde hair tucked under a cap, her blue eyes sharp with anticipation. Sophie, his 16-year-old daughter, hovered nearby, her phone in hand, scrolling through the forum thread she'd ignited, now at 500 likes and buzzing with speculation. "They're gonna freak when they see us," she said, a glint of satisfaction in her hazel eyes. Derek nodded. "Let's hope they do." In his pocket, Derek carried the USB drive with the PI's video. Emily and Nathan entering their hotel room, undeniable proof of their betrayal. Kate clutched a manila envelope with divorce papers for Nathan, while Derek had his own set for Emily, courtesy of his lawyer. The plan was simple. Serve them as they stepped off the plane. Let the truth hit them like a freight train. Kate's PI had sent a final update that morning. More photos of the pair at breakfast, laughing over coffee like a couple on vacation. It fueled Derek's determination, but a new twist gnawed at him. Sophie's chat with Jessica Langston. Sophie had met Jessica at a downtown cafe the day before, posing as a student researching marketing careers. Jessica, still bitter about her firing 2 years ago, had spilled more than expected. "Your mom and Nathan were tight," she'd told Sophie, unaware of her real motive. She knew he chased anything in a skirt, didn't care. Even egged him on sometimes. But there was someone else too, Mark Tanner. They'd sneak off during lunch breaks. "I saw them once, thought it was weird, but she laughed it off." Sophie relayed it all to Derek last night, her voice shaking with anger. "She's been lying way longer than we thought, Dad." "Mark and Nathan?" Derek's jaw clenched. Mark, their old friend, might have been the first crack in their marriage, a crack Emily hid with a smile. Now, as passengers trickled out of the gate, Derek spotted them. Emily, her red hair catching the light, and Nathan, tall and smug in a tailored suit. They walked side by side, chatting, oblivious to the storm waiting. Kate stepped forward, her voice cutting through the noise. "Nathan Crow." He turned, his grin faltering as he recognized her. "Kate? What?" Before he could finish, she thrust the envelope into his hands. "You've been served. Divorce papers. Enjoy your trip." Nathan's face paled, his eyes darting to Derek, who stepped up beside Emily. "Emily Wilson," he said, his tone steady. "Divorce and custody filing. It's over." He handed her the papers, watching her confident mask crack as she took them. Emily's green eyes widened, then narrowed. "Derek, what the hell is this? You're ambushing me at the airport." Sophie stepped in, her voice sharp. "You ambushed us first, Mom. We know about Chicago, the hotel, Nathan, all of it." Emily flinched, glancing at Nathan, who was flipping through his papers, muttering curses. "This is ridiculous," he snapped. "It was just business." Kate cut him off. "Save it. We got video. You two in one room, all night. Business doesn't look like that." The crowd around them slowed, curious glances turning their way. Emily's cheeks flushed. "You're blowing this out of proportion," she hissed. "We could talk about this at home." "There's no home to talk at," Derek said, his voice low but firm. "Sophie's with me. You got the house. I'm taking half the savings and moving on. And we're not done digging." Emily's gaze flickered, a hint of panic breaking through. "What's that supposed to mean?" Sophie crossed her arms. "It means we talked to Jessica. She mentioned Mark Tanner. Ring a bell." Emily froze, her breath catching. Nathan shot her a look, confusion mixing with his anger. "Who's Mark?" he demanded. Emily stammered. "That's nothing. She's lying." But the crack in her voice betrayed her. Derek didn't push it. Not yet. The papers were served, the truth was out. "You'll hear from my lawyer," he said, turning to leave. Kate followed, tossing over her shoulder. "Same for you, Nathan. Good luck." Sophie lingered a moment, staring at her mom. "You thought we'd never find out," she said quietly. "Big mistake." Then she joined Derek, her head high. As they walked away, Derek heard Emily call after him, "Derek, wait." He didn't stop. The time for waiting was over. By evening, the fallout hit. Sophie's forum post had exploded. Someone from Emily's firm connected the dots, and whispers of the scandal spread online. Derek and Sophie crashed at his parents' place, a cozy house outside the city, while Kate texted an update. Nathan's firm had suspended him pending an ethics review, and Emily was on thin ice too. Over dinner, Sophie grinned at Derek. "They're toast, Dad. Jessica's tip about Mark. Think it's true?" Derek sipped his coffee, nodding. "Yeah." Kate's PI found old texts on that burner phone. Mark and Emily, a year ago. She's been juggling both, maybe more. Sophie's grin faded, replaced by a steely look. She doesn't get to play victim now. "What's next?" Derek set his mug down. "We let the lawyers handle it. Custody's mine. Court will see the proof. And if Mark's part of this, it's just more ammo." "She's out of moves." Sophie leaned back, satisfied. "Good." She picked the wrong family to mess with. Derek felt a surge of pride. Sophie's strength was his anchor. Emily and Nathan thought they'd won, but the reckoning had just begun. The truth wasn't just a weapon, it was their victory. Derek Wilson sat on the porch of his parents' house just outside Seattle, the crisp October air carrying the scent of fallen leaves. The past week had been a storm, serving Emily and Nathan at the airport, watching their lives unravel in real time. At 38, Derek felt lighter than he had in months, the weight of betrayal lifting with every step forward. Inside, his 16-year-old daughter, Sophie, laughed with his mom over a batch of cookies, her voice a bright thread in the quiet evening. The divorce papers were filed, the evidence, hotel video, texts, photos, locked in with his lawyer. Emily's world was crumbling, and Derek was ready to move on. His phone buzzed. Kate Crow. "Hey," she said, her tone warm but tired. "It's done. Nathan signed a settlement today. Full custody of my girls, half his assets. He's out of the firm, reputation trashed. You." Derek leaned back in a rocking chair. "Same. Emily's fighting, but the judge saw the video. Sophie's mine, and I get half the savings. She keeps the house, but she's persona non grata at work now." Kate chuckled softly. Couldn't happen to nicer people. That forum post Sophie made, it's still trending. They're calling it the Chicago scandal. Derek smiled. She's proud of that. Says it's her first viral hit. Inside, Sophie poked her head out the door, flour dusting her cheek. "Dad, Grandma says dinner's almost ready. You coming?" He nodded. "Be right there, sophomore." She grinned and ducked back in, leaving him to finish the call. "Kate, what about Mark?" he asked. Anything solid? Kate's voice tightened. Yeah. The PI pulled phone records. Mark and Emily texted for months last year, right when he stopped coming around. One message from her said, "Nathan's better, but you were fun." She played them both, Derek. He exhaled, the confirmation bitter, but not surprising. Doesn't change the outcome, he said. Just proves she's been at this longer than we thought. Kate paused and softened. How you holding up? Derek looked out at the fading sunset, the skyline of Seattle faint in the distance. Better than I expected. Sophie's my rock. And you. Teaming up with you made this bearable. She laughed lightly. Same here. Speaking of, my girls keep asking about that cool guy with the smart daughter. Maybe we should grab coffee sometime. Let them meet Sophie. Derek's smile widened. I'd like that. Let's plan it. Dinner was a warm chaos. Sophie teasing her grandparents, Derek's dad recounting old fishing stories. Afterward, Sophie plopped beside him on the couch, her phone quiet for once. Mom called today, she said, her voice steady. Left a voicemail crying, saying she's sorry. I didn't call back. Derek studied her, seeing the hurt she masked with strength. You don't have to, he said. She made her choices. We're building something new now. Sophie nodded, leaning against him. I like that. And I like Kate. She's tough. You two get along pretty good, huh? Derek chuckled. We do. She's been through the same mess. Makes it easier to talk. A week later, the divorce finalized. Emily's lawyer pushed for a last-minute plea, but the judge wasn't swayed. Custody went to Derek, the savings split cleanly. Nathan had already slunk off to another city, his career in ruins after the firm's ethics board cut him loose. Emily, too, faced fallout. Her suspension became permanent when Jessica Langston's testimony leaked to HR, tying her to Nathan's pattern of misconduct. The Chicago Scandal Post had done its work, amplifying the truth until it couldn't be ignored. Derek didn't gloat. He didn't need to. Justice had found its way. One sunny Saturday, Derek and Sophie met Kate and her daughters, Lily, 10, and Mia, 8, at a park near Lake Union. The girls hit it off instantly, Sophie leading them to the swings while Derek and Kate watched from a bench, coffee cups in hand. They're a handful, Kate said, smiling as Mia squealed on a slide. But they're why I fought. Derek nodded. Same as sophomore. She's why I didn't just walk away. Kate glanced at him, her blue eyes thoughtful. You're a good dad, Derek, and a good friend. This whole thing, it could have broken us, but it didn't. He met her gaze, a quiet understanding passing between them. Yeah, feels like a second chance. The kids ran back, breathless and giggling. Dad, can Sophie come over sometime? Lily asked, tugging Kate's sleeve. Sophie grinned. Only if you two visit us too. Grandpa's got a tire swing you'd love. Derek laughed. Deal. We'll make it a thing. As the sun dipped low, casting golden streaks across the water, Derek felt a peace he hadn't known in years. Emily's betrayal had torn his old life apart, but from the ashes, something stronger emerged, a family redefined by trust. That night, back at his parents' place, Sophie found him on the porch again. Mom texted me, she said, holding up her phone. Says she's moving out of state, starting over. Wants to meet before she goes. Derek raised an eyebrow. What did you say? Sophie shrugged. Nothing yet. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I'm good either way. You and me, we're solid. He pulled her into a side hug. We are. And whatever comes next, we've got this. She smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. Yeah, Team Wilson for the win. Derek looked out at the stars, the future wide open. Emily and Nathan had lost everything. Jobs, respect, each other. While he'd gained something better. A daughter who'd fought beside him and a friend who'd stood with him. The truth had set them free, and now they were ready to live it.